understand we were supposed to have started exactly 16 minutes ago. Thank you very much for your usual patience. I'm very pleased by your turnout. I'm pleased to advise you that we just completed our post-election National Standing Committee meeting of the NDCT that was under Khupe. So this press conference is coming hard on the heels of our completion of that meeting of the National Standing Committee. As you can see, us here are members of the National Standing Committee, and we are obviously delighted and very happy that you have turned out in large numbers. And in this matter, I believe that President Khupe will be able to take you through what our party, the city's position is post 2018 harmonized elections. Once again, thank you very much. And I don't want to take much of your time. I see some of my brothers and sisters here looking hungry. Lunch is about to be served, so over to you, Dr.
Thank you very much. Let me also take this opportunity to thank you all for coming to this press conference. And I would also like to apologize for starting a bit late. And I'd also like to say that against all odds, there are many people who are saying we're living in a patriarchal society, a woman cannot be a president. But I'm happy to say that against all odds, we managed to become number 3, and I beat more than 17 men who were also contesting. So I just wanted to Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my first post-election press conference. Let me thank you all for making time this afternoon. Let me start by extending my condolences to the bereaved families who lost their loved ones during the August 1 incident. I also join others in prayer for those that were hospitalized. In that context, we welcome the independent commissions suggested by the President-elect. However, we propose that independent commissions be set up by Parliament and that it reports to Parliament directly. This is to avoid any insinuations of bias. We unreservedly condemn any form of violence and it is my prayer that the 2 ghastly acts, one of the bombing on the 23rd of June 2018 in Bulawayo and violence that broke out in Harare on the 1st of August, have put a blot on what could have been a violent-free election will never be repeated. In giving an assessment of the 2018 elections, the following are important issues to note. The turnout by Zimbabweans came out to make their voices heard. Of these, majority were women, who were 54%, and the young, that is telling to the winds of change we experienced in this election. In this context, the elections were free only in terms of allowing the popularity of the people of Zimbabwe to come out and vote. I have participated in elections since 2000. I can honestly say that this was my first ever election where I have slept in my bed. In the majority of cases since 2000, we never slept in our homes. We would move our children to South Africa, and my twins, I moved them out of this country in 2002. But in this particular election, I want to honestly say that we did not have any problems. I slept at my house. Most of our candidates were sleeping in their homes. So this is the freeness that we experienced as a political party. Whilst as a party we hail same problems of violence, skirmishes, all of which were with our erstwhile cousins, we can safely say this was largely a peaceful election. That we would like to talk about is that resources for polling agents, we were the only party that raised the issues of agents. Out of the 210, only 112 constituencies had agents. When we started raising the issue of polling agents, we said polling agents enhance the credibility of the electoral process. And therefore, it was important that we have all the 11,000 polling agents in all the 11,000 polling stations, because polling agents are monitors, they are not observers. Yes, we had so many observers, but observers just observe an election, and if they find anything wrong, they can only talk about those things after observing. But polling agents, if they observe something which is not right, can raise that issue, and they have every right to stop the electoral process. Hence why some of us were saying our major concern was the security of the vote, and the security of the vote was only going to come when we had all the 11,000 polling agents from beginning of voting to end of voting, because these are the people who are going to say how many people came into this polling station, how many people voted. These were votes which were counted. These ones were gotten by this other political party, or these ones were gotten by the other political parties. But unfortunately, in some polling stations, we did not have polling agents. And I think it is a testimony of other political parties who are also crying foul that they did not have polling stations, hence why they cannot produce all the V11 forms. On the media, both public and private media were biased. Public media only came to the party late. We were the first party to launch our manifesto, and yet got 30 seconds coverage. In some instances, even the private media, where we had advertised with the little money we had, took it upon themselves to abuse and demand and demean our candidate. Credibility of the election. ZEC was administratively disorganized. There was very little time given to voter education, which might have led to a high percentage of spoiled votes. 3 days to the election, the voter education materials were still outside. Nomination was not consistent, as there were different standards and rules. Public relations and communications was very poor. Centralization of ZEC, including accreditation of my own chief election agent in Bulawayo, was difficult, as they wanted it to be done in Harare. Lighting system at polling stations was very poor. If you look at some tents didn't have lights, people had to use candles. In the rural areas, it was even worse, because most of the schools do not have electricity. So people had to use candles. Some of them tried to use their phones, but batteries went off. So the lighting system at polling stations was very poor. Vote buying. There was open vote buying, which was reported to ZEC, and ZEC did not do anything. For instance, in Gai, there are certain people who are giving people $10 to say vote for this particular candidate. And there was maize, which was given to everybody, during that particular period. And these particular incidences were reported, but nothing was done. The security sector. This was our major concern. Our assessment before and during the elections, the offhandish approach displayed by police, as if they were sucking from the core military intervention. It was clear the army and the police were in different spaces. This remains our main concern. As you know, at some point we attacked at the Supreme Court, and in full view of the police. They marched and they never, did anything. And I think with what happened on the 1st of August, you could see that there was a laissez-faire approach, and this is the reason why it resulted in the casualties that we had. So for us, we've had problems with the military, with the security sector. The way forward. This election was a legitimizing election. Our problem has been the issue of illegitimacy. The question for every Zimbabwean is, what do we want the next 5 years to be about? The choice is very clear. We either can continue to be a divided, polarized nation, engaging with the international community as a divided nation, or be united. I have one common goal. It is, in this light, the president-elect is advised to immediately after inauguration call a meeting of the 22 candidates and give them an opportunity to speak to a common vision. Please note, my party is not calling for a government of national unity, but for a common purpose and an opportunity for those that wanted to be part of the elections. We need to show the world that we are together in the quest to change the lives of our people. We need to have a non-toxic, non-contentious discussion on electoral reforms now as we have an evaluation of the elections. The international community needs to give Zimbabwe a chance, including assisting in the retraining of the security sector in being civilian forces. SADC should engage with all political party actors and ensure that Zimbabwe can move from the election mode. I implore opposition parties to understand that elections can have preconceived results. It was a mistake to raise expectations that we may not be able to live with. And like I said earlier on, as a party, our major concern was to make sure that we move this country forward. As a party, we participated in this election because we believed that we were going to be the alternative. We believed in equal opportunities for all. We believed that we were the party which was going to ensure that every Zimbabwean is given equal opportunities. And for us, it was never about power. It was about moving the country forward. As we sit right now as a political party, we are not concerned about power. We are concerned about the 13 million Zimbabweans who are longing for a better life. That is all we're interested in. People want jobs, people want food, people want houses, people want, water, they want electricity, they want all the basic needs. And they can only get those basic needs if we are united as a country. As Dr. Khupe, my plea to all Zimbabweans is that let us unite as a nation for the sake of all the 13 million people in this country. It should not be about Khupe, because I contested as a presidential candidate, and therefore I am supposed to be the president and no other person. Let us look at those people who support us. Let us look at our followers. Let us look at every Zimbabwean. So our plea as the MDCT is that we want to move this country forward. People have suffered for a long time. Zimbabweans have gone through untold suffering for a long time, and now they want a relief. They want a better time, a better life. We want our own currency as a country. We want industry to open so that people have got jobs. We want everyone to enjoy being a Zimbabwean. And this is what we are calling upon as a party. We are saying, let us unite as a nation and move our country forward. So this is our message to every Zimbabwean. And I would like to thank all the Zimbabweans who voted in this election. Like I said earlier on, the pre-election period was very peaceful. I don't remember of any incident. There might be incidences here and there, but generally speaking, because I do not want to exaggerate things or to try and come up with certain perceptions, because I have contested in elections since 2000. I know what I have gone through, and comparing with previous elections, honestly speaking, in this particular election, I think we enjoyed, the freedom of going to vote. Yes, as a party, we have raised issues with ZEC. There are things that they did not do to our own satisfaction and to the satisfaction of many people. Those particular things happened. But however, we are saying, for the sake of moving this country forward, it is important for us as political parties to come together, put our heads together, put our minds together, and make sure that we move this country forward for the sake of every Zimbabwean, for the sake of our country, for the sake of oneness, for the sake of us having a better life. So this is our message to every Zimbabwean and to all of you. I thank you. Thank you very much. A clear admission that Zim is a divided country. I think there's evidence to that effect. You saw what happened on the 1st of August when there were those skirmishes. That's a clear indication that indeed we are a divided country, and it is important that we unite as a country and forge forward in making sure that we move this country forward. The issue of co-sharing, I think the president-elect was on Sky News, and he was very clear that he got 50.8% and 2/3 majority. And therefore, there is no basis whatsoever of forming a government of national unity. So that one, for me, I think it's out. ZEC rigged this election. Like I said earlier on, we have got issues around ZEC. We have got so many examples. If you look at what happened in March North, in Khupe, for example, we have got a council candidate who voted at a particular polling station. The wife voted, children voted, many other people voted. But when results were announced, he had 0 votes. And we have got so many incidences where my daughter went and voted and 5 other people, but I got 2 votes. So where our polling agents, 2 of our polling agents voted, we got 0 votes. So we highlighted these issues, that we have got issues around how ZEC, operated in certain areas, and we have raised those issues. Then participation in the verification process. The SG is going to respond because he's the one who participated in the verification process. The GNU, I've already alluded to the fact that the president-elect was on Sky News, and he clearly indicated that he got 50.8% and 2/3 majority, and there is no basis whatsoever of forming a government of national unity. So this one does not arise. But like I said earlier on, as a party, we are willing to, because we had a vision as a party, and we still have that vision of moving this country forward. If we were to be asked to say, can you please share your vision for the sake of moving this country forward, we will not have any problems. We have got presence in parliament. We've got 2 senators and 2 members of parliament who are going to be in that parliament, and they are going to be consistently articulating our vision as a party in those particular platforms. So that is the platform that we're going to be having as a party in making sure that our issues are heard going forward. So the SG is going to talk about the issue of the verification process, and the national chairman is also going to talk about the issues to do with the ZEC rigging elections.
Thank you, Comrade President. Yes, we did participate in the verification exercise. Of course, the problem you have with the verification process is that you are given the 11 forms and you are simply looking at figures. So there's nothing much you can do, but like what the Comrade President is saying, our only problem is what we experienced at the polling stations and not what we saw in terms of the 11 forms. So for us, we verified and we got the figures, we did our calculations, and those were the figures that we've been now agreed to say this is what our party got. And it's now water under the bridge, and we want this country to be able to move forward, and we expect that our vision will be articulated beyond this election, because the election is over.
Thank you very much. I'm sure you are all aware that rigging is a process. Rigging is not a one point or one incident in the process. Rigging starts when you are campaigning. Remember, the Electoral Act is very clear that vote buying is a crime. But if other political parties are seen doing exactly the same, which means the rigging process has started. So though for those political parties, in particular 2 political parties that were seen and were reported to ZEC as doing vote buying, it therefore means that the rigging process has started. The second point of the rigging process is the officers themselves that are employed by ZEC. Some of the officers openly show that they are biased towards a political party, yet they're supposed to be neutral referees. So that is another process of rigging. And the final one that was actually raised by the president. We have got an incident where in Khupe, that's Ward 19 in the Khupe constituency, in particular Longwe polling station, a candidate votes for himself, right? And he is sure that he voted for himself. The wife voted for the candidate, and the wife is sure that he voted for the candidate. The mother and the father vote for the candidate, and they are sure that they voted for the candidate. And when counting begins, that candidate is told he got 0. How then do you account for that? So which means that is the pure rigging that we're talking about. Unless if ZEC can answer those things, we will still accuse ZEC of rigging, and we will not stop there.
Accepting the invitation or not. So I think we are going to deal with those issues when they happen. But for now, we have not been approached. No one has approached us. But when it so happens, we are going to sit as a political party and decide on the way forward. But like I said, my major issue here is, please, I am begging every Zimbabwean, let's allow this country to move forward for the sake of every Zimbabwean. This is my plea to all Zimbabweans.
Okay, so we're taking second rounds, or it's a follow-up question? It's a follow-up question. Okay.
Plea to him is to make sure that he unites this country. He unites every Zimbabwean, and he ensures that every Zimbabwean is given equal opportunities. The reason why we are faced with the kind of problems that we are faced with right now is because Zimbabweans have not been given equal opportunities. There are inequalities. There are so many things which have happened, injustices. Those issues are supposed to be dealt with, because you cannot build a nation on a foundation of injustices. So I am pleading with the president-elect to make sure that he deals with all the outstanding issues to do with injustices. He unites every Zimbabwean. He gives every Zimbabwean equal opportunities. We want inequalities to go away. We want every province to be treated equally. We want power to be devolved to provinces, so that each and every province is able to do things as a province and decide on what kind of development they want. We want the president-elect to move away from a centralized economy to a devolved economy, because the other problem is that we have had a centralized economy where everything happens in Harare. Things must change. Things must move to all the provinces. We must make sure that we desist from things happening in Harare only. Every province must be given an opportunity to do their own things, to decide on what they want to do in terms of development. They must be given their own resources and decide on their priorities as a province. So that's my plea to the president-elect.
Okay. Are we taking new rounds, or is it a follow-up?
It's a new round.
It's a new round. Okay, so you'll be number 1, number 2. We'll go for 2.
Dr. Khupe, we have heard your plea to the president. What is your plea to Nelson Chamisa, MDC Alliance and their supporters?
Like I said, my plea to all political parties is that please let us try and unite this country and make sure that this country moves forward. People have suffered for a long time. People have not had jobs for a long time. Zimbabwe is highly informalized, with more than 5.4 million people in the formal sector. I don't think that this is the Zimbabwe we want. Zimbabwe used to be the Sunshine City. It used to be the breadbasket of Africa. It used to be the jewel of Africa. And we are saying we want to get back Zimbabwe to its former glory. We want to make sure that Zimbabwe is the envy of the whole world like it used to be. So my plea is that please let us all unite and move this country forward, because we all want a better life. Every Zimbabwean wants a better life. And I think that there is always the next time. I, as Thokozani Khupe, did not do well this time around. And I hope and trust that come 2023, I'll also do the best that I can, so that I am also elected the President of the Republic of Zimbabwe. I'm very happy that I came third, regardless of whatever happened. Like I said, that people are saying we live in a patriarchal society, but I have demonstrated beyond reasonable doubt that I can also beat men. I think I beat 17 other men. About other political parties' processes. We've got our own processes as a party. Like we said, our PR was not included, and we have taken that issue to court. And there's one other issue where our spokesperson challenged the recounting. So these are the issues that we have as a political party. I think the other issues, other political parties can comment on their own issues.